Okay, so thanks to Big Hearted Gal, yeah, not girl, is gal. She commented and told me that over at nomnom.com, which is another food blogger, a big food blogger at that, Paola, she uses yeast. So that got me intrigued because yeast is important. So I gotta make a video off of this. Let's talk about it. I am Darius, this is Sugarless Crystals, your sugar-free destination of YouTube. Enjoy me. I'm guilt-free. Indulge. Yeast is rather important. Yeast and gluten are important when it comes to bread. When it comes to bread recipes, cake recipes, these things are found in flour. Alright? Now, people have allergic reactions to them, which aren't very desirable, but I'll get to that later on. Yeast and gluten, they are what make bread bread. The scientific things of baking people don't mostly get into because they are rather boring if you don't like science. But me, I love it. Gluten and yeast, they are what made bread airy, stringy, you know, the little moisture, I guess you can say, that happens to be there. Those things are products of gluten and yeast, or one or the other. I'm not too sure whether just because you either have gluten or you have yeast, or they can both be present at the same time. You know what? I know the answer. I'm going to correct it later. All right, don't worry about it. Let's move on. Now, there are numerous different types of yeast out there, and all of them aren't created equal. There are some good and there are some bad. There's no way in the world I can sit here and make this video long enough to talk about every different type of yeast, but I'm going to name a few. A few of the most known yeasts. Okay, let's talk about brewer's yeast. This yeast is found in beer. Okay, we all know beer. You know, we're familiar with it. Yeast is in beer. And this type of yeast isn't necessarily bad for us at all. Now, it isn't necessarily desirable, but there are health benefits that come from brewer's yeast. And which leads me to the other thing, which is baker's yeast. Baker's yeast, as you probably all know based off the name, is found in bread, okay? It's found in baking items, baking things like that. This is what causes the bread to rise. And to answer my question that I asked myself earlier, the yeast feeds off the gluten or the sugars in the flour. I thought about it when I was saying it, but anyway, that's what happens there. As I said, you have good and you have bad, but you can't have too much of a good thing. Too much yeast can result from bloating and things of that nature. Now, if you're someone with candida, or perhaps let's say a yeast infection, you don't want to be consuming yeast because that feeds the bacteria. You know, there are, like I said, yeast is kind of a, I don't know if yeast is some kind of, I don't know if it's an organism itself or if it's simply, well, bacteria is an organism if you think about it. But, okay, let's move on. But the yeast will start to feed off of itself. And I'm going to do an experiment in a minute to show you exactly what is going on. If only I had a balloon when I went to the store. I forgot it. I had to make cinnamon rolls. That's how I found out about this whole thing. And, you know, because someone requested a cinnamon roll. Like, oh, I'm rambling. It isn't that yeast isn't keto friendly, perhaps. It's just that it doesn't go along with some of the protocols that keto brings. You know, keto is all about, well, I'm not going to necessarily say keto. Well, let's just say paleo, keto, low carb, you know, autoimmune, these things of that nature. What all these diets are particularly focusing on are correcting the body. And some people have candida, some people have Crohn's disease, some people have yeast infections. I mean, we have all different types of diseases and health issues that we bring along with us when we start these diets. Some being hereditary, some being just the damage we cause over the years in our lives. But this is why I guess you can say you don't necessarily hear people, you know, promoting yeast, you know, because it can go against what you're trying to do when it comes to correcting things within your body. But it isn't necessarily a bad thing, you know? It isn't a bad thing when done in proper doses. Correction. But in cooking, we use sugar to feed the yeast. That's what I've learned. yeast eats the sugar in things. As I said, yeast eats the sugar or the gluten out of the flour, which causes the reaction to rise. The rise is done by carbon dioxide. The typical yeast experiment is done by pouring it in a bottle and the air or the carbon dioxide blows the balloon up. Yeah. If I could show you that, I would, but I don't have a balloon. But we're gonna test some things now. We're gonna test some things. Hopefully this video isn't too long because I'm gonna squeeze it all in there, all right? When the yeast rises, shoot. When the yeast causes the dough to rise, this is where you get your airy, like it fills, the carbon dioxide fills like the dough with these little bitty pockets of air, and you get the moisture, you get the, you get it where you can squish it and it rises back up, you get typical bread that we know of, that we miss, because when you're dealing with alternative flours, you don't have gluten in them, and if you're not using yeast, the yeast has there's nothing to cause it to rise. The baking soda helps a little, but if you notice, things will be very dense. And that's actually the texture that you talk about when you say, this doesn't taste right. It tastes funny, It's a little gritty, or, it's not quite right because it's missing the yeast and the gluten. They're not desirable to eat, but for the better part, we're used to them, Now, real quick, before we end this video, we're about to head into this kitchen. Well, not head into the kitchen, but I'm about to sit down and we're gonna experiment with this a little bit. We're gonna watch to see exactly what happens here, all right? All right, so what I'm gonna try to do now is I'm gonna test it with water, I'm gonna test it with actual sugar, and I'm gonna test it with a sweetener. I'm gonna see if I can trick this yeast a little bit. Or maybe the yeast is telling the truth and they have been lying to us. I have 3 glasses of warm water here. I'm gonna try to cheat the yeast because I don't want to use up my package because I need to cook some. Now, in 1 glass, I'm not gonna add anything to it. The other 2 glasses, I'm gonna add pure maple syrup. There's sugar in here, and some monk fruit. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna use a tablespoon of each. All right, this might take a minute, so I'm gonna turn the camera off and we'll be back after these brief messages. And we're back. All right, so I tossed you guys some close-ups. This one is very interesting. This is the one I put the maple syrup in. It is foaming like crazy. This one is doing a little something, not much. This one, nothing at all. And it's so funny because this one didn't have anything in there but warm water. But this one had warm water and the monk fruit, but it did nothing. I don't see anything here. I guess that yeast don't like that fake sugar. But this one definitely, it's bubbling up. I can clearly tell if there was a balloon over here, it would have blown up. I really want to taste this. Okay, I don't want to taste it because it smells good, because it stinks. I want to taste it to see if it's still sweet. I don't think that'd be smart. It could just, just kind of take yeast straight to the head. I don't think that'd be wise. Comment below if you experiment with some of Nom Nom's recipes. There you go. Yeah, some of her recipes. Let me know what you thought and how they tasted. What I may do, a commenter, a subscriber, she recommended a cinnamon roll recipe. And Nom Nom has a dough with yeast with cinnamon rolls. I think I'm gonna use that one and add a little twist to myself to make it mine, If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We do videos every Wednesday and Saturday. And if you look to your right, you'll see my latest upload along with the video just for you. I am Darius, this is Sugarless Crystals, your sugar-free destination of YouTube. And I'm not a chef. I'm an entertainer. Bye.